Hi everyone, welcome to the Performance Pathways Lifestyle Online Package, PLOP for short. With PLOP, you'll be able to learn all you need to know about your Performance Pathways lifestyle. Are you ready? Let's go! Hello, this is PLOP. Today we'll be exploring transitions. Think of them as plot twists in your life storyline. You never see them coming, or did you? Alright, let's break it down. What's a transition, you ask? And that was a transition. But you know where else has transitions? Your life. So it's like life on shuffle, change. Sometimes you win and sometimes you take the L. It's quite unpredictable, so it's always great to be prepared. And the coolest part is like a quest for personal growth and learning. Time to learn more about transitions. Do you know that there are 5 levels of transitions? There's the athletic, psychological, psychosocial, academic, and the financial level. First up, let us take a look at the athletic level. It refers to transitions occurring during your athletic development, such as training at high intensity and frequency. Now, let's hear from Ang Chen Xiang on how he handled his athletic transition.
Okay, Sec 3, the hurdle height was at 91 cm.
Okay.
Hurdle 4, the hurdle height didn't change. It was still at 94, but the distance changed to 110 meters. So previously, there was a switch. Basically, it was 100 meter hurdles over 91 cm all the while back. And then because they transitioned to the world athletics requirements, so it got changed to 110 meter hurdles over 91. So the distance from 100 became 110, which meant that in between each hurdle, instead of being 8.5 meters apart, it became 9.1 meters apart.
Okay.
Yeah. And therefore, if you are not tall enough, you cannot reach. Yeah. So fortunately, I grew 10 cm when they switched it, and then I could reach sufficiently well enough.
Wow, wasn't that an interesting sharing? That's so slay! I'm gonna go for a run now, bye! Up next, we will be looking at the psychological level. The major transitions during your psychological development, like from childhood to teenagehood to soon-to-be adulthood. Telling us about his transition experience with the psychological level, we have Thiruban.
Yeah, so by 18, I think I also had my first experience with an injury. So I think that kind of changed my identity a bit. Even like after that full year of success in JC1, in JC2 when I had quite a bad hamstring tear. And then there was also another reality check, like how quickly that everything kind of changed. That routine was lost. So it made me into more, I would say I was, during that period, 17, 18 years old, I was a bit more reserved. I was a bit more reserved. I would say I was struggling a bit, definitely with my mental health, when I missed that injury. Yeah, and I wouldn't say I always knew that my talent is still there. Like, it's not that I completely lost it or anything, but I was just feeling very down with what's going on and a bit lost.
That was brave of Thiruban to share. As you can see, this is an example of what experiencing psychological transition looks like. Thiruban shares about his incident with injury and how it has impacted his mental health because of that. Next, we have the psychosocial level. This is the stage that tells you who you perceive to be the most important in your life during a particular stage. It might be your parents, your grandparents, or even your boyfriend or girlfriend. Helene is up next, sharing how she made new friends during the transition to boarding life at the Singapore Sports School.
I guess I was not really concerned about the part from being away from home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I was always quite independent. Yeah, so it was okay, and I made new friends in sports school too. So friends was not a problem either. Yeah.
So we saw how Harleen made new friends in boarding, which helped her cope with the transition from primary school to secondary school. Our penultimate level would be academic transitions, which schools you went to and your development through them. Ang Chen Xiang will tell us about his academic level.
Tell me about that time.
It was
How did you do
really
that?
because I knew I needed to get my studies ready for J2. Well, number one, catch up on my J1 classes and topics that I missed, and prepare for J2 because if I was going to go and compete overseas again, that same strategy which had failed me, at least in terms of expectations, wouldn't work in J2.
Right.
And J2 will have an increased workload anyway.
Okay.
So I had to change my tactics, study harder, and study in advance now.
Okay.
So in December, I used it to catch up and study in advance.
Okay.
And I remember that I studied in advance because I do remember one geography lesson whereby I turned to my friend and said, hey, haven't we studied this before? Like, why is the teacher repeating the same topic again? Then I was like, no, this is new.
Right.
Then I saw that, I had actually read my serious notes in preparation for the lesson back in December. Yeah.
Right.
So I remember studying in advance so that when the time came for school and when I went to compete, I would be ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a big brain move by Chen Xiang right there. Well, last but definitely not least, we have the financial level. Essentially, it is how you have been supported financially through the major transitions in your life. Our last guest, Harleen Ong, will tell us all about it.
Okay, so what else have they, how else have they shown that they've been supportive of you?
I would say financially, because they assure me that as long as I want to go for any overseas trips, they will kind of sponsor me. Yeah.
My money don't jiggle. As you can see, from the sharing by the different athletes, different levels of transition can hit you at different times. This also shows how each level contributes to the development of an athlete, and that's smoke it. Okay, for a start, let's focus on one of the 5 levels of transitions. So now, let's imagine this. After watching this video, you go about doing your usual things, and after a day of studying, doing work, and training, you go to bed. And the very next day, when you wake up, this level of transition is in the perfect state. You are no longer bothered by this transition. On a scale of 1 to 10, your perfect scenario of this transition is now at a 10. A miracle has occurred while you slept. Now that you have this miracle perfect scenario for this level of transition, let's think of where you are today and rate it on the scale as well. Give it some thought on where you are today on the scale and write the number down. If you wrote down a 10, appreciate the experience that you're having right now. But for the rest who is not there yet, let's think of what are some of the small steps that you can take to move up by just 1 on the scale. Let's take note of these steps. As we wrap it up, remember this: transitions are part and parcel of life. Together, we'll conquer life's transitions like total bosses.